Well, somebody better go pick that up. Hello, everyone. Welcome back for some more Let's Read Higurashi. We, we caught a new side of Rika, potentially, last time. We kind of got warned about our experiences in the village, and, well, now our phone is ringing. I'm sure this will be fine. The phone suddenly rang. I woke up in a hurry. The clock read 9 p.m.
しまった。
Also, apparently, this is the friggin' voice of Jotaro. That's crazy.
定時連絡の時間を寝過ごした。
I don't hear it at all. I picked up the receiver.
赤坂様、外線からお電話が入っておりますが、おつなぎしてもよろしいでしょうか。
Oh my god, you guys are absolutely gonna listen in.
ご同僚の加納様と申されております。
I knew it. I didn't call in, so they had phoned me. Oh my god, a time before cell phones. God. How did people live?
すみません。つないでください。
Like, unironically. Like, I lived before cell phones, but I can't think of life before the cell phone.
かしこまりました。
Like, it's I might honestly say that there's nothing that has happened in history that has changed the world more than the cell phone. Like, it reinvented the way we stand in line, you know? It reinvented the way we go to the bathroom. I'm on my phone every time I go to the bathroom. Though I know some people are like, ew, that's gross, because then you're touching your phone with your, and it's like, well, no, it doesn't matter. My hands are clean. That's the after, you know? It's fine. It's fine. But anyways, I don't think you guys should know so much about how I go to the bathroom, but
おつなぎしますので、一度受話器を置いてお待ちください。
God, they are going to listen in to us. After I'd put down the receiver for a few seconds, the phone began to ring again.
はい、もしもし。
Maybe it's just me, but the sound of a phone ringing fills me with extreme anxiety, and I also mean that, like, in real life.
赤坂です。
赤坂くん、加納です。お疲れ様。定時連絡がなかったので、こちらからかけました。
We should not.
そちらの状況はどう？
I don't think we should. Leaving the lecture for later, my senior coworker got straight to the point.
今日はひなみ沢村へ実島に行きました。
Oh, we gotta choose our words carefully.
観光客を装うことで、村長以下の何人かの主同盟の要人との接触に成功。何も聞き出すには至りませんでしたが、好印象を得て、明日以降へのつなぎを作ることができました。
そう、なかなか手際がいいね。赤坂くんのどこか初々しい感じが、むしろ武器になったのかもしれないね。まずは上守備ってところかな。
比較するほど経験がないので、上守備かはわかりませんが、とりあえず、今日のところは順調だと思います。
You know, aside from that one thing that we, I guess, agreed on was a random mental breakdown and not real.
県警での情報や地元警察の公安での情報と照らしてどう？鬼ヶ淵死守同盟は白っぽい？
I still didn't know. I should have been able to say that immediately. I only had to say that, but for some reason I hesitated.
まだ調査中ですので、なんとも。
そう、なるべく早めにね。分かってると思うけど、今夜が終われば誘拐から丸4日が経過する。
And that's the bad number.
いつが時間切れという明白な区切りはないけど、時間の経過は確実に我々の状況を不利にしていく。それは分かってるよね。
ええ、分かっています。迅速に。だけれど、細心の注意で調査を続けます。
うん。くれぐれも気をつけてね。相手は暴力主義団体なんだから。油断すれば危険もあり得るからね。危険が迫ったらすぐに連絡を。その場合は地元公安に応援体制を入れられるようにするからね。
Can you imagine though if he calls in and he's like, yeah, I felt threatened by a little like 6-year-old girl? And they'd be like, what? And we'd be like, it's true. I've never felt more scared for my life than talking to a 6-year-old girl. And they're like, damn, bro, you're about to be a father.
ありがとうございます。 頑張ります。
他に赤坂くんの方から連絡はある？
I reported several bits of supplementary information, and at the very end, I decided to
そ
ask.
ちらの調査の進展はどうですか？
Well, obviously, it's not going great if he's saying that we gotta hurry up.
うん。こっちもみんな頑張ってるけど、
Yeah.
なかなかはかどらないよ。何しろ、調べる団体が星の数だからね。
Then again, they're investigating all the different
だか
organizations.
ら、君の方の団体も白だと分かったらすぐに帰郷して、他の職員の応援に入ってもらいたいんだよ。室長は、鬼ヶ淵も洗っとけって言ってるけど、俺は鬼ヶ淵なんかの反ダム住民団体なんかは、今回の件、全く無縁だと思ってるからね。職員一人を一団体調べさせるためだけに出張させるのは、すごく痛いよ。ほんと。
Bro, cringe. At this point, he was just complaining. He was telling me to stop taking my time enjoying my trip, to finish up and get back quickly.
なるべく早めにケリをつけるようにします。
うん。よろしくね。じゃあ、他に何もなければ切るよ。
はい。特にありません。
As we were ending our call, he scolded me thoroughly for being late with my regular report. After that, I hung up the phone and sprawled out on the bed. Come to think of it, I haven't heard anything from Oishi. He was supposed to contact me about a time and place to meet up with the informant tonight. Oh, tonight! Right. I thought about getting angry with Oishi in retaliation for being scolded for forgetting my daily report. Come to think of it, though, Oishi didn't really say anything other than that he was going to call tonight. Waiting for a phone call when you didn't know what time it was going to come was in itself rather difficult. Oh man, isn't this the truth? Being told, hey, we're going to call, but then never give a time. My day's done. What? I was just going to be by the phone all day. Well, son of a gun, there it is. Just when I thought that, the phone rang. I picked up the receiver in a hurry.
もしもし。
これはびっくりしました。
I know that voice.
赤坂さん、あなた受話器取るの早いですね。
It's like that one Cosmic Kiryu gif where he picks up the phone and then he does phone sex stuff. What a weird minigame.
警官辞めても大企業の営業で十分飯が食えますよ。
You know the thing that I made the joke about? That's what they're also making the joke about. So that's fair.
まだ警官辞めた後のことなんか考えたこともありません。
What a weird concept. I mean, is it different from online? Yeah, no, it is. It is. I would say it is.
そこまで過剰に反応されると面白いな。
I do like Oishi's new theme. Though I feel like it only works in a position where he's not evil command grab cop.
しかしいけないな。因果な商売ですし、今から考えても遅くないですよ。
In a small town? They're all gonna be old women, dude. Also, I'm married and have a kid on the way,
本
but
題に入ってください。
the old women thing is even worse.
そうですか。それは残念です。じゃ、では本題。
I don't even want to think about the Oishi circle jerk. I really don't. Many of the executives in the Onagafuchi Guardians had a lot of sway in the neighboring regions. Even in Okonomiya, there were a lot of people with relations to the village, or in the village. That's why meeting in the Shishibone Market District, far from Okonomiya, was a matter of course.
赤坂さん、こっちこっち。
Oh my god, are we going to the frickin' maid bar?
ちょっと迷いましたか。北口からの方が遠回りだけど、道は分かりやすかったかもしれませんね。
いえ、遅れて申し訳ありませんでした。
Oh my god, and this was a time before GPS too. Oh my god. Just the more I think about the conveniences of modern technology, the more I think about how did people live their lives.
夕飯はもう食べちゃいました。
ええ、済ませてあります。
じゃあ、お酒の飲めるお店に行きましょうか。洋酒派、
Oh,
日本酒派。女の子のいる店といない店はどっちがいいですかね。
お構いなく、勤務中は飲みませんので。
coward. I mean, dude, you could get paid to drink. Why would you not? Hearing that, the man that Oishi had brought along bent backwards as he guffawed, clapping Oishi on the shoulder. Does he have a Sprite?
に 初々しい人でしょ？
Doesn't seem like it.
その分ちょっぴりサービスしてあげてくださいよ。あのお金は全部彼のお財布から出てるんですからね。
The man that Oishi had brought seemed almost like a ticket scalper or a bookie. Even his appearance was dubious. What the frick is a bookie? I'm sorry, that's a new word. I'm Googling this. What the frick is a bookie? To Google? Bookie meaning. What's a bookie? I legitimately don't know. One of those words that I've never heard. A bookmaker. What? What does bookie mean? Someone who facilitates gambling. Oh, it's okay, illegal sports gambling. Okay, that makes sense. All right, right? Apparently, it's also British slang for if someone is treacherous or snitchy. Oi, that bloke was mad bookie, as they would say. Okay. The informant grinned deviously.
おい坊主、お前旦那にいくら渡した？だいぶ途中でつまみ食いされてんぞ。
大石氏への仲介手数料も含めていますから、それも含んだ上です。
It seemed that the informant had expected a much more extravagant reaction on my part. When I responded matter-of-factly, he realized I was an entirely different type of person than he was. But rather than put a distance between us, it seemed that I had piqued his interest.
だから言ったでしょ？真面目な人なんです。でもね、赤坂さん、私たちのような職種の人間は豊富な社会経験がとても武器になるんですよ。
女の子がいて、お酒が飲めるお店での経験がどう武器になるか疑問です。
Hey, loose lips sink ships. Let me tell you, a bar with women, there's a lot of loose lips there, am I right, boys? Am I right, boys? I'm sorry about that. I started the phrase and then I realized where I could go with it. The informant, unable to contain himself, clutched at his stomach as he guffawed, heedless of the people watching.
いや、もう。
I don't think you can say that. I don't think you could say that, man.
赤坂さんはいちいち察しがいいな。
I don't think you should say that.
よっ、さすが高学歴。
大石さん、あなたどこかで飲んできましたね。酔っ払ってます。
I like to believe Oishi just is perma-buzzed, right? It's just his blood alcohol content is naturally slightly high.
オフタイムに飲んで何が悪いんですか？あなたは勤務中でも私はオフ。オフ。
It's a horrible laugh, buddy. Oishi, who was the sort that fool around to begin with, was in such a good mood I couldn't figure out a way to deal with him. Completely different than me, who had come worried about getting every bit of information I could. Oishi-san, after taking so much money, you were supposed to get me information worth at least as much. I thought this, but then I realized I was getting information from the informant, so it didn't matter how drunk Oishi was. It was nothing I could complain about, but I still felt slightly riled up. Oishi the informant, it was no doubt a fake name, but he introduced himself as Sato, led the way deeper and deeper into the back streets of the market district. Even though the market was bustling, a couple of turns off the main street and you were in a desolate alleyway. Oishi started climbing a set of stairs on the seedy side of a building. There wasn't any sort of signage, so I couldn't tell if the place was open or if it was even a store at all.
安心してください。怪しい店じゃありませんよ。
And we just look and just scrawled on there. It says, Sneed's Feed and Seed. And then it says in brackets, actually Chucks. Those words coming from Oishi's mouth had absolutely no credibility. Okay, we're going to Mahjong. Beyond the door was, thankfully, a typical Mahjong parlor. I was relieved it wasn't the sort of suspicious place I had to be on guard
はい
about.
いらっしゃい。あら、大石さん、お久しぶり。こっち入ります？
I still recommend people learn to play Mahjong. It's a lot of fun.
すぐ開きますよ。
いいえ。今日はセットですからいいです。お、待たせましたね。
Mahjong is a game played with 4 people. Seems that a middle-aged man who was going to be our fourth had already arrived and was waiting for us.
遅えぞクラウド。俺はもう消えろと思ってたんだから。
She made an excuse for why we had taken so long. Eventually, realizing that I was a new face, the other man grew interested.
彼は赤坂さん。東京からはるばる出張されてきた将来有望な新人さんです。
坊主。
Buzz.
お前麻雀はできんのか？
まあ学生時代にそこそこに。
Sato and the old man cackled in unison. Their plot to sucker me out of my money was painfully obvious.
緊張続きの出張で疲れておいでだろうと思いましてね。一つ今夜は心の選択でもして差し上げましょうかと思いまして。
Yeah, with drinking, gambling, and potentially women, I see.
今さら野暮なことを聞きますが、私たち警察官ですよね。
まあそれはいい子なしで。なに実際にはかけるわけじゃありませんよ。この後いいお店に遊びに行くときに誰が全員分を払うのか決めるだけですって。
We're absolutely doing the circle jerk, aren't we? Ugh. Ugh.
遊びに行く？どんな店に遊びに行くんですか？
Without reservation, the three of them started suggesting places like cabarets, high-class clubs, and even brothels. Like a cabaret and a high-class club, like those are at least, you know, you get a little bit of, it's kind of professional. A brothel, you're just, whoa. At the very least, there are type of places you couldn't go to with money that was just for funsies.
私のお金は先日大石さんに根こそぎ預けて支払いは不可能ですし。
じゃあ坊主が勝てばいいじゃねえかよ。おめえが勝ったらこの雀荘の支払いはなしで、クラウドに仕事の話でも何でもすればいい。
Okay, this guy has a very familiar voice. Is this Cahulin's voice? It sounds like it. No matter what happened, it seemed like they were intent on playing Mahjong for free. I would have to fasten my resolve a bit. If I was going to be underestimated like this forever, it was going to get in the way of my work.
わかりました。では少しだけお付き合いします。私が勝ったらアフターの遊びは一切なしですぐに仕事の話に入ってもらいますからね。
Dude, it's 3 old men. There's no way you'll win.
いいですとも。
俺が勝ったらフラワーのブルーマーメイドに直行だからね。
Yeah, Blue Mermaid, I think that sounds like a real brothel place. That's a real brothel name, you know? One sec, I gotta adjust my neck. Oh, there we go. All right. Oh, great. That place where the girls dress up in gym clothes and maid
お
uniforms?
やっさんも好きだな。
Wonder what they changed the voice line out to. Or they probably just cut that one.
私はもちろん馴染みの店をはしごしまくりですよ。
Oh, they did not. They didn't do the slurp, 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 thank God. Oh, thank God, I didn't need to hear that.
佐藤さんはどうします？
私は静かに飲めるお店でいいですよ。
Okay.
静かにバニーさんと。
Oh,
でしょ？
But bunny girls?
この間飲みに行った時、あんたバニーさんの尻尾を引っ込めちゃったでしょ。
I'm happy he said off and not out.
あれ結局弁償だったの？
マスターに縫製代とか言われて一本ドンペリ開けられたな。
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's how they get you at those places, by the way. Like, you might be like, oh, go to a place where you drink with a girl, and you're like, oh, get her a few drinks, it shouldn't be bad. The owner will come out and give you, like, the most expensive drink they have, and they'll be like, well, we'll get started with this, and now you're out, like, you know, couple hundred, and you're like, okay, well, What a lively table this was. I could tell the other customers were glaring at us while we loudly continued our crude conversation. Speaking of which, the fact that they assumed I was the same was a bit disheartening. Oishi had taken all the money I'd brought, so everything I had left was out of my own pocket. In addition, there wasn't that much left of that either. If I kept on hanging around him like this, through his goading, my wallet might disappear into the night. I had to somehow win and return the conversation to my job. But these people, no matter how you looked at it, were pretty good. Sorry, Yukie. Oh my god, he's calling Richie. Well, the old man and Sato-san probably won't fall for this silly Richie. That's the one where you declare it to be like, I'm gonna win next. I wonder if Akasaka-kun will spit out what I need. Oh-ho! The old man's pretty good. He's quietly trying to use one of my safe tiles to complete his hand, isn't he? Seems that Akasaka-kun had at least learned the ropes when it comes to guarding against someone's Richie. But that will be his downfall. Yeah, because you can look at everyone's... This is the thing that makes Mahjong crazy, is you get to see everyone's entire discard piles. That is like public info, which is super crazy for looking at the board and understanding what's safe and what's not. Oh, Akasaka-kun's really fretting over this one. It was glaringly obvious that he had a safe tile to discard, but he didn't want to throw it away because it would move him farther from completing his hand. They're so nice when they're young. I'm not giving you that voice line. Nope. You know what? I'm not saying that. Come on, hurry up and throw out the kicker. If he gave me the winning towel, we'd all head to an establishment where I could do all sorts of licking and sucking. One sec. Oh, my mouths are combining. Like that? Like that? Anyways, we're clearly Oishi right now. If he gives this the old man his winning tile, we'd head to a place, straight to the place with maids and bloomers. Buddy, that's combining two very different things. He looked up as he hesitantly threw out a tile that was... Oh, too bad. Seems this time you were lucky. But as long as the round kept going, I could still win off the draw. But after that, Akasaka-kun managed to luckily avoid throwing any bad tiles, and somehow the round managed to end without anybody completing a hand. Sato-san had keenly anticipated the two players were in Richie, and had decided to play it safe. What a cool-headed way of playing. Now let's see, what kind of hand did Akasaka-kun have? When the round ends with nobody winning in Mahjong, anybody in Tenpai has to show their hand. But if you're not in Tenpai, you have no obligation to reveal it. Your average beginner would normally show their hand even if they weren't in Tenpai, and start a commotion about how if this tile or that tile came, they would be in Tenpai. But he didn't. Being stingy, Sato-san reached out to flip over the hand that Akasaka-kun had casually placed face down. He was nowhere near Tenpai. Was Akasaka-kun totally not bad at this after all? Right then, as the old man compared the tiles from Akasaka-kun's hand to the discard pool, a puzzled expression crossed his face. Damn, this guy's good. Dude, if Jojo did Mahjong, it'd be over. Like, that would be the most insane thing.
いつ転廃したのに気づいた。
この辺りですか。ノンタイムで4連続で切ってますよね。初めは食い替えかと思いましたが、私をチラチラ見ていたので期待しているんだと気づきました。
Akasaka-kun, you...
赤坂さん、あんた麻雀始めてどのぐらい？
高校から大学くらいまでの間しかやっていませんよ。さあ続けましょう。佐藤さんは転廃しなかったから流れて、次は私ですね。親。
It seems like Akasaka-kun is really aware of how the game flows. We thought we were just gonna eat him alive, but it looks like that that isn't gonna be so easy. Oh, hey!
ソースが濃いですね。
Okay. Hold up. Okay, he's kind of cool. Hold up. He's kind of cool looking. Okay. He kind of looks like friggin' one of the Yun and Yang brothers from Street Fighter, but recolored. Okay. That's what I get from the hair, at least. I always mix up Yun and Yang. I need to always look it up.
回しますか。
この坊主。クラウド、降りるな。
あと3つ。
See, this is good CGR. I like this one.
佐藤さんはうまくいきそうです。
くそ、食いたんで引きずり下ろすか。チーだ。
C ですか。じゃあすみません。それポンです。
So yeah, pawning is fun. That's where you get to just steal them to complete your trio. But so yeah, because if you pawn it, then you get to complete your trio, but it means that people can see what is in it, which is like that equally is kind of, you know, your hand is now a bit more open, which isn't great. Oh, now going to call 3 of a kind after he declared us straight, trying to override and interfere.
坊主、おめえ離れしとるな。
まさか。
The way he speaks, that has to be Cahulin's voice.
私が生まれる前から打ってるような方々とは
It's the same
比べようもないですよ。
the same noises.
あ、それです。ロン、トイトイ赤が村さん。
Ron, triplets, Tudora, and
親ですから
wow.
ね。ちょっぴり高いですよ。
くわ
赤坂さんやるな。俺は我々も本気を出さないと。ねえ。
本気のついでに展望も出してもらいましょうかね。私は眠いんで、手っ取り早く終わらせます。
Akasaka-kun, this is somehow unreal. Before I could realize it, there was an ominous cold air emanating from beneath Akasaka-kun's feet.
ぬるいですね。
How blasé.
ハンズのリャンウーパーが笑ってませんか？
Oh my god.
ちくしょう。
He's the Jotaro of Mahjong.
坊主てめえ。
クラウド、お前差し込め。坊主の親、とっとと下ろすぞ。
悔しいですが、どうやらそうした方が賢明なようですね。
出た。ローだ。タイヤをドライチ。
すみませんね。頭っ鼻です。
I don't know what head bump is. That's
No.
he's doing strategies God has never heard
イン
of.
フ。
頭っぱねだ。
What the frick is that? Okay, what is a... Okay, I'm Googling this. Mahjong head bump. What is a head bump? What does Atama Hane mean? Head bump. The rule ensures only one player can win from one discard. It's totally optional, though. Protests against head bump pop up in a world. Is a Mahjong rule that states when multiple people call Ron... Oh my god, I'm on the Mahjong League website. And the world is against head bump. Yeah. There's a Mahjong rule that states when multiple people call Ron on the same tile, only the next... Oh! Because, yeah, the way... Because Ron is an interesting system. Because if you yell... Basically, if you steal, normally, like, it's just whoever says it first. But, what if you said... What if 2 people said it at the same time? Well, the head bump basically means that it would only go to the next player. Okay, sure. That's actually not too confusing.
小僧のくせに。
And and this is a controversial thing because people are against this rule. I didn't click that.
小僧が相手だと バカバカしくて手を緩むってわけですか。じゃああんた、その小僧以下ってわけですね。面白いな。あんたら連中は決まって小僧だ坊主だって言うよ。
Okay, he's kind of terrifying right now.
赤坂くんですよね。なんだかムードが変わりまくりなんですがね。
私をかもって今晩はいいお酒を飲むおつもりだったんでしょうが、どうやら皆さんの当ては外れそうです。単品3色赤1ドラ1。
おお、張ってやがったか。
だからあんたぬるいよ。いくらダマだからってこんなにぬるい3面なんだから読んでくれなくっちゃ。
Yeah, so it turns out he didn't play much Mahjong because he was banned from every tournament from being broken. Akasaka-kun chuckled as he rested his hand in his chins. Sorry, let me try that again, as he rested his chin in his hands. That pose was so fitting it was almost scary.
おいクラウド、
They're talking in the bathroom.
話が違えぞ。初々しいカモがネギ背負ってきたって言ったのは誰だ。
いや誰でしょう。
おいさ、まずいよ。このままじゃ負けるよ、マジで。
Akasaka-kun, for you to make me get serious. Looks like you really want to be milked dry. You know what? That is a fair phrase here, but I don't want to talk about that after everything we've talked about before.
ポンポン、暇絵がいいですね。もう一回ポンです。
Akasaka-kun was almost singing at this point. Is that a reference to the pon pon way pon pon way pon way pon pon? Is that? There's no way. This came way before that, right? The translation maybe, right? The translation I could see, but the tiles he had opened were all pin tiles. You can't be serious. Are you really going for the flush?
坊主、
That's crazy.
4つも晒したら、おめえパイが1つだけじゃねえかよ。
そうですね。知ってます？短期待ちって一番読まれにくいらしいですよ。
That's true.
バカかてめえ。そこまで染めて晒しといて、今更出ると思うんじゃねえ。
This must be incomprehensible if you don't know Mahjong rules. Which is why I do say, learn to play Mahjong, it's fun.
読めてますよ、赤坂さん。それ、均一でも本一でもないんでしょう。4つポンした時点で問い問いは成立してますからね。あんた今、絶好の単独トップ。こいつは均一と見せかけで問い問いで食おうという挑発手でしょう。
そう思うならピンズ切ってみます？大石さんの範囲の左5つ。さっきから切り損ねてるピンズですよね。それを端から順に切ってみたらいいんじゃないですか？
You must be joking. Is he a Mahjong god? If not, he had to be the main character of a manga or something. At that moment, the old man sent me a sign under the table. The message was simple and clear.
やれ、叩き潰せ。
こんな若い子に様は好きじゃないんですがね。
He's gonna cheat?
あう、
Scumbag
ここまでやられ
Mahjong?
て今さら弾けるか。
もう知りませんよ。ではどうぞ。
行くぞ坊主。リーチだ。オープンで行くぞ。ピンズの一数値待ちだ。
Most likely, the tile that Akasaka-kun was waiting for was one of those tiles. With this, Akasaka-kun was no longer capable of winning the hand. When I drew from the wall, I switched out the tile that Akasaka-kun would draw. I think that's supposed to be the well, isn't it? You draw from the well, not the wall. Right? Normally? I don't know. The tile that I put in was the 1 pin. One of the tiles that the old man was waiting on. Akasaka-kun discarded it a little while ago, so there was no threat of it being the one he needed.
おい、坊主の番だぜ。
Dude, it's now clear. I knew he was troubled that the tile he drew was the 1 pin. Of course he couldn't discard
坊
it.
主、 分かってると思うが、オープンリーチに振り込んだら100万払いだぜ。
言われるまでもありませんよ。
The tile that came from Akasaka-kun's hand was an honor tile. Oh, ain't that something? There's only one North Wind tile left, isn't there? You were counting on a really rough wait, weren't you? But with this, Akasaka-kun's fate was decided.
カズ、命拾いしたな。だが、手配は1名だ。逃げきれなくなることもあるんじゃねえのか？
やっぱりそういうことか。
Akasaka-kun glared at the old man with a discerning eye. The guy had pretty good instincts. Did he figure out we were cheating?
やめましょうよ、おやっさん。赤坂君の方が2、3枚は上手です。
バル、ここまで来てやめられるか。次行け、捕ませちまえ。
The next tile Akasaka-kun would draw was the 7 pin. With that, it would be settled. No matter which one he discarded, he'd play right into the old man's hand. An unavoidable full payout. When I drew my tile, I sneakily swapped Akasaka-san. Crash. What? Akasaka-kun suddenly sneezed, collapsing the wall of tiles in front of him.
おいおい、何やってんだ。
すみません。ちょいくしゃみをした拍子に山を崩しちゃって。バップ払いですね。親だから4000オールですか？
He took an intentional penalty.
それとも、バップは積み棒に？
Oh my god. He took an intentional penalty. Because instead of a full payout, he would only have a penalty payout. Unable to hold back, I guffawed. Akasaka-kun, knowing he was going to be cornered a second time and unable to escape, he took the drastic measure of knocking over his own
や
wall.
るな、坊主。100万払いをそういう手で防ぐとはな。ガッハハハハハ。
大石さんも、そんな見え見えの積み込みは勘弁してください。これが馬場なら、今ので卓をひっくり返してたところですよ。
いえいえいえいえいえいえ。すみませんすみません。あなたを侮っていましたよ。あなたどうしてお強いじゃないですか。
正直に話さんかい。若い頃はだいぶ慣らしたんだろ。
早稲田高田の馬場あたりでだいぶ遊ばせてもらいました。
What are these places? I've never heard of these. What are these? Waseda. Waseda University. Okay, that's located in the heart of Tokyo. Is a research-intensive institute which provides a stimulating academy, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And what is Takada Nobaba? Takada Nobaba is a Shinjuku neighborhood. One of the best-kept secret night spots of the city. Oh, cool. Maybe I'll go there when I'm in Japan in half a month.
ちょっと勝ちまくりすぎて。
Oh no,
馴染みの店に出禁を食らいまして。
the thing I joked about was super real.
今の家内にだいぶ怒られて、足を洗ったんです。
Damn.
勝ちまくりすぎて？あんた、当時はどのくらいの勝率でやってたの？
メンツにもよりましたが、歌舞伎町あたりで打つときはほぼ負けなしでした。
Oh, that's the scary neighborhood.
特に、相手があれ系の人のときは、
Yeah,
命かかってましたからね。
the Yakuza. 20 times? Did it say that there? What kind of stakes were those? Where did it say 20 times? I missed it. Did you have Yakuza at your table? Yeah. Or pro baseball players? No, that's the ones to be scared of.
なんだなんだ。クラウド、このタク。お前どっからこんなプロ雀士みたいなの引っ張ってきたんだ。もうやめだやめ。ああもう、坊主。おめえの勝ちだ。降参降参。
ありがとうございます。光栄です。
いやいや。しかし赤坂さん、あんた打つと性格変わるね。
Boy, there's sure a lot of characters in this game with multiple personalities, huh?
なんで就職なんかしたの？あんたならフリーで十分に飯食っていけるじゃない。
プロ雀士には腕と月の両方が必要なんですよ。私には後者がありませんでしたから。
好きなんてその時の運不運だろ。あんたほどの腕があれば十分にいけると思うがな。
波の月じゃダメなんですよ。関したら3回に1回くらいはそのままカンドラが4つ乗ってここぞという時に狙ってリンシャンが引ける、そのくらいじゃないと。
赤坂君、そんなのが頻繁にできたらそれはもう超能力者ですよ。
いえ、イカ様でも超能力でもなく、そのくらいの打ち手は結構いるんですよ。新宿で知り合った泣くたびにドラが乗りまくるジャンシなんか
Now,
鬼のように強かったですし。
in a game like this, you don't say this line and not have that either be a reference to someone or a character they're setting up, but I have no idea.
横浜で打ったプロなんかは当たり前のように一発で引き当ててましたからね。
Or just people that the author actually knew in real life.
私にはああいう月がないんです。
What type of folks were those? They weren't named Ryu or Satoshi by any chance. Yeah, like, who?
というわけで
That's gotta
総
be a
合トップは
reference.
私でよろしいですね。
へいへいへい、乾杯でございますよ。負
けた負けた、久しぶりに大負けだ。
しかし打ってる時の坊主気合入ってたな。結構怖かったぜ。
よく言われます。自分ではそんなに目つき変えてるつもりはないんですがね。そんなに怖い目になってましたか？
Dude, you had lightning behind you. Three of us nodded emphatically in agreement. So that was Akasaka-kun, the Mahjong Prodigy. Before he goes home from his assignment, maybe I could have him go play at a high-stakes table in my place. But it's not good to get greedy.
じゃあ仕方ないや。約束です。夜の学習会はこれでお開きにしましょう。申し訳ありませんね、おやっさん。今夜はこれでお開き。
しゃあねえな。消えて寝るわ。体力つけんと体が持たん。
お仕事が大変なんですか？
ああ、おやっさんはひなみ沢ダムの第一工区の監督さんなんです。
Oh. Oh. Okay, I see.
住民とは連日小競り合いをしてますからね。
Huh.
しんどい商売ですよ。
来年あたり第二校区も任されちまうかもしれねえな。黒田さん、血圧上がりまくりって聞いたしよ。
Please see a doctor.
身が持たねえや。
おやっさんなら大丈夫でしょう。あなた、見た目よりも面の皮厚めですしね。
Is this the guy who dies? That's a dark thing to say.
俺だって仏じゃねえからな。腹渡にいくり返るときあるぞ。特に園崎のあの小娘は我慢がならん。あいつの顔面いつか簡単には治らんくらいに歪ませたろって思ってる。
What a phrase.
まあまあまあ。でも給料はいいんでしょ？かなり破格の給金だって聞きましたよ。
おっとりめえだ。あんなに世知辛い職場で給料が安かったら誰も残らんよ。あ、クラウド。警察はいつになったら村の人間全部国から立ち退き命令とか出てるんだろ？
ねえ、どうなってるんでしょうね。
The old man, who identified himself as the foreman of the Hinamizawa Dam, spewed a few complaints until he felt better about it, then left quietly.
じゃ、行きましょう。あとは佐藤さんに任せますかね。
That's interesting.
大石さんは帰られるんですか？
私が一緒でもお邪魔しちゃうだけでしょ。それに佐藤さんの仕事を買ったのはあなたです。私は対価を払ってませんからね。
Oishi-san was kind of sketchy. He was strangely conscientious about some things. I felt quite a bit of a gap between myself and Oishi's generation from that part of him I didn't
じゃ
comprehend.
あ坊主、いやジャンシ様にもう坊主なんて言えねえな。赤坂くんでよかったっけ？
はい。
じゃあ赤坂くん行こうか。
Where are we going?
では赤坂さん、また何か困ったことがあったらいつでも頼りに来てくださいね。
大石さんにお支払いできるような対価はもう持ってませんよ。
んじゃ 今度の勝負で少し手加減してもらえたらチャラにしますよ。
Oishi, seemingly still not having had his fill of playing around, without overstaying his welcome, disappeared into the night. Okay, he's going to go get that. Okay, yeah, that's what he's going for, huh? Okay. I definitely didn't think that this would be what we do this chapter. No, I didn't think it would be Mahjong and suck and fuck, you know. But that's where we are, huh? Okay. The informant, named Sato-san, had me get into his car before he set off. He favored narrow roads and made numerous short left turns. Fun fact, those are illegal in Quebec.
左折法による尾行確認ですか？
詳しいな。
Checking to see if you were being tailed by making left turns was a rather classic technique. If it was just a single pursuer, you could confirm it that way. If you're being tailed as a team, this archaic method wouldn't let you shake them off. Of course, doing it anyway was better than not.
赤坂君が何者かは旦那から何も聞いてないんだが、やっぱり警察関係かい？尾行確認に詳しいなんて、あとは探偵者くらいしか思いつかねえね。
言わなければならないものでないなら拒否したい質問ですね。
That's smart. That's real smart.
やれやれ。麻雀やってからすっかり雰囲気が大人びちまったな。会った時のあのおどおどしたあんたはどこ行っちゃったんだよ。
I smiled wryly. Looking back now, I had to be a little grateful for being made to play Mahjong. Thanks to that, I was able to relieve some tension. Not in the same way that Oishi's going to relieve some tension. Eventually, Sato-san, confirming that there were no cars following us, slipped outside the city. We were on a pitch-black country road, unable to see anything besides the lights outside. The only things I was able to hear were the hum of the car's air conditioning and the chirping of insects and frogs. Did they not have radio in Japan in the cars at this time? I wonder. Probably did, but
ひなみ沢村については多少のことは聞いてんだろ？
御三家という旧家による支配や現在は園崎家が一党独裁をしているとかそういう話ですか？
そこまで知ってるならくだらない前置きは省略していいな。
ではお願いします。犬飼大臣の孫の誘拐に鬼ヶ淵死守同盟が関与しているか否かを。
Sato-san checked the rearview mirror one more time to confirm that there wasn't anybody behind us before speaking.
昨夜園崎本家で親族会議が開かれたそうだ。親族会議ってのは旦那から聞いてるか？
いえ。
普通に親族会議って言ったらまあ親戚が集まってお茶でも飲むようなもんだよな。だが園崎本家の親族会議っていうのはそんなのんびりしたものってわけが違う。
You know, combined with what we've heard in the extra stuff, I think we can pretty definitively say it was the Sonozakis kidnapping someone. A family council held by the Sonozaki main house. That would be a meeting between those who truly controlled Hinamizawa village. They wouldn't be talking about private family matters, it would be about the village as a whole. About organizing activities against the dam project. Among other things. Everything would be decided there. In reality, they were deciding the fate of the village. At the head of the meeting was Oooh Sonozaki, more or less called Empress Sonozaki as the ultimate decision-maker of the clan. She was to be feared and respected. Infirm with old age, she was often unable to stand on her own, but her words carried enough weight to sway the fate of the village. It seemed that lately she had grown weak, and on days where she wasn't feeling well remained bedridden. Family councils that occurred while she wasn't feeling well took place with her on the floor. In the middle of a dignified Japanese-style room, still in a futon, only the upper half of her body sitting upright, a stern look on her face. That was Oooh Sonozaki. Sitting next to her was her heir, Mion Sonozaki. She was still young. Well, no, young wasn't quite the right word. She was a girl who remained childish. No, I think she's just young, dude. Her role was merely to sit beside Oooh Sonozaki, sometimes responding to her requests. However, she was the only one deemed worthy to succeed Oooh, with the same hawkish eyes, enough to give pause to anybody who so much as looked at them, Much was expected of her in the future, this granddaughter of the Sonozaki's leader. Oh, also, on the other side of her sat several other important members of the remaining three families, the Kimiyoshi family and the Furude family. Firstly on the list for the Kimiyoshi family was, of course, the mayor of Hinamizawa village, Kiichiro Kimiyoshi, and lined up beside him were several more of his direct relatives. Opposite to them sat the other of the three families, the Furude family. The Furude family was only comprised of the family of a Shinto priest, so the only ones sitting there were said priest, his daughter, or his wife, and his daughter, Rika. Rika was doted on by many of the older folks in the village, and it seemed that Oooh was no exception. While the stress from just attending a family council was said to be enough to shorten your lifespan by 3 days, oh man, that sounds like my family gatherings. There's a reason I stopped going. I will often joke that legitimately one of the reasons that I moved across the world to China was because there'd be no way I'd have to experience a family meeting there. And like so far it's been true, because like I had to go to one in the summer last time, and it literally split my family in twain. There is a war going on in my extended family, and I'm also one of those people who has an extended family of like I have like 100 plus people. Like it's a massive extended family, and there's literally like a civil war going on with lines drawn in the sand. It's intense, and I'm happy that I can not go to it for most of the time and just be like, yeah, I'm in China. Yeah, can't do anything. Goodbye, right? So, but it seemed that Rika was the only one exempt from that. No matter how charged the atmosphere was around her, she paid it no mind, instead humming along as she doodled in a sketchbook. That's adorable. In fact, the night before, laying on her stomach while humming and doodling, she nonchalantly tucked her legs into Oryu's futon like it was a kotatsu. That's adorable. All this was the three families, and all around the room, lined row upon row, were relatives of the Sonozaki family. The only ones who were afforded cushions to sit on were direct relatives. The others were said to sit in seiza position directly on the tatami mats. That's rough. If you've ever had to sit seiza, it's rough, man. With Empress Sonozaki enshrined at their center, they were almost like a giant snake coiled around the room. It was decided that everybody would sit in order of their rank. The number of people from the Sonozaki family was overwhelming. The fact that the Sonozaki family held so many seats at a meeting where everything pertaining to the village was decided made determining whether the balance of power was held in the three families as clear as day, where the balance of power was, rather. The number of members in attendance from each of the families directly reflected how much influence they had in ruling Hinamizawa.
その会議で何が話されたんですか?
Sato-san, after remaining silent for a while, quietly began to speak.
マスコミ関係に支払ってる謝礼金の額が大きいんじゃないかい?
Oh my god, they're bribing the media. Breaking the long moment of silence was the head of the Kimiyoshi family, Kiichiro Kimiyoshi. The Onikafuji Guardians wasn't a business. They were nothing more than a private organization pushing for the cancellation of the Hinamizawa Dam project with no reliable source of income. Fundraising had always been a problem. When they first started operating, they managed to collect a sizable amount of funds through donations. As the conflict dragged on, the amount was steadily declining.
石を投げるだけが全ての時代じゃないさ。マスコミの力も侮れないのは重々承知しているし、今後もその力を借りたいのは同じさ。
The expressions of the people related to the Sonozaki family were sullen. As the one who suggested they should borrow that power was the family head, Oooh Sonozaki. The battle wasn't just about force of arms. In this civilized age, there were civilized methods of fighting. Oooh suggested that, creating a strategy incorporating the mass media. Oryu's foresight was spot on, and the effects of that plan, while at first unclear, slowly began to manifest. If the physical confrontation at the construction site was meant to delay progress on the dam by even 1 day, then the propaganda war using the media was aimed at attacking the dam project itself. At first, there were those who had doubts about the strategy, But there was nobody now who called those results into question. But in order to maintain those media ties, a colossal amount of money was required. As long as the amount of funds they had was abundant, things would turn out fine. It couldn't be argued that it was a massive expense, but the results spoke for themselves. But with the conflict continuing to drag on, the circumstances had changed. The head of the Sonozaki family, no, the one who sat at the pinnacle of Hinamizawa's three families, Oooh, had suggested the idea herself, so it was already untouchable, and continued to be allowed to drain from the budget. Nobody acknowledged that it should be so allowed, but nobody could say anything. That was the price of dealing with the mass media.
どう思うお嬢さん。
The only person who could object to a plan proposed by the head of the Sonozaki family household herself was probably Mayor Kimiyoshi. Oooh, with a hard-to-define expression on her face, as if she had severed herself from the fetters of mortal emotion, simply listened quietly to Kimiyoshi's words. But really, it was hard to tell if she was quietly listening, or didn't even have the intention of listening at all.
去年機関士の値上げの理解を得るのにも随分苦労したじゃない。一度だけってことで理解を得て、また今年もってわけにはいかないよ。ねえ、古手さん。
Sorry, I just had to drink my Laoshan Cola. Highly recommended if you can find it. The mayor looked to the priest and his wife from the Furude family for affirmation. The priest gave a vague expression. I'm surprised that he doesn't get a sprite. I feel like he's pretty important, but then again, he is literally a posthumous character, which I'm now learning that that's how you... Wait, is it... yeah, it's posthumous, right? Because I always said posthumous, and then I heard it, and I'm like, oh my god, it's not posthumous, it's posthumous. Anyways, he's a posthumous character, so I guess it makes sense why he wouldn't have a sprite. And the priest gave a vague expression, avoiding a prompt response. But his wife gave an answer without second thought.
そうですね。
Ah, that's the mom's voice. That is an anime mom voice.
機関士代は特に貧しい家には大きな負担になっています。みんな自分たちの村のためだからと耐えていますが、これ以上の値上げはやめた方がいいでしょうね。
The bulletin was, as its name implied, a bulletin published by the Onigafuchi Guardians. It outlined the Alliance's activities, ideals, and resolve, but you couldn't deny the contents were rather piecemeal. That bulletin's main goal wasn't to inform people, but rather was something to sell to businesses and people living in the village or connected to it, and using those sales to collect funds. In other words, it had become something of a tax. Of course, it didn't have to be said that this was one of the main sources of income for the Onigafuchi Guardians. Originally, purchase was supposed to be voluntary, but in Hinamizawa it had silently become the opposite. In the neighboring towns as well, it seemed that many businesses were buying copies just to avoid butting heads with the Alliance. The priest whispered to his wife not to say anything unnecessary, but was struck down decidedly with a cold glare. Oh, the mom is the one in power. Cowering from that glare, the priest shut his mouth. Oh, damn, he whipped. The priest's wife always held the power in their relationship. That was because she was the one who carried the Furude bloodline. Oh, she's the real Furude. The priest merely married into the family. He was nothing more than someone who adopted the name just to join the three families. He should have been able to find a spot fairly high up in the hierarchy of things, but the lack of authority in his voice meant that he had still not gained any favor. Casting a backward glance at her rather disparate parents, Rika continued to doodle whimsically without paying them any mind. Signaled by a look from Oooh, Miu brought her ear closer to her grandmother. There, something was said in a quiet voice. After responding with a couple questions, with a nod from Oooh, Miu looked around the word and conveyed her grandmother's words.
機関士の値上げもやむを得ません。
Kimiyoshi made a face, like he had just bit into something unpleasant. That expression quickly disappeared, like it had never happened at all.
だけどミオンちゃん、君だって分かってると思うけど、機関士の負担は決して軽いものじゃない。南沢のすべての人間にかかる重みなんだ。あんまり負担をかけすぎれば内部から崩れることだって。
内部から崩れるのは誰ですか？
どれって別にそういう意味じゃ。
最初に崩れるのは誰かと聞いています。
Oh damn, she's I don't know if she's still repeating the words or if this is coming from her herself. Being cross-examined by a girl who still had fragments of childishness remaining within her, the words stuck in Kimiyoshi's throat as he sunk into silence. Mion repeated her question once more, looking around the crowded room. Everybody refrained, making eye contact to avoid being pierced by her gaze. The words she had spoke were unarguably said in proxy for Ooryu. That's why when Mion spoke them, they carried the same weight. But the look in her eyes was different. Like Ooryu's, they had a hawkish gaze, strong enough that anybody looking upon them would freeze in their tracks and yield. But that gaze was without question one that belonged to Mion herself, as Mion would eventually inherit everything from Ooryu. The day when she would stand up as a young and capable leader in her own right would come. Nobody wanted to believe otherwise for even a minute. That's why nobody even thought of Mion as some sort of little kid.
君吉さん、機関士の値上げごときでは誰の決意も崩れませんよ。
It sounds like she's repeating the words. Kimiyoshi, while grumbling a little bit, made a gesture as if to say he had no objection.
マスコミ関係への出費は継続とします。その出費がさらに圧迫となるようなら、機関士の値上げもやむを得ない。
Mion had rendered her judgment. Everybody bowed their heads, silently listening to her
園崎
words.
家当主代行、園崎美音です。我が名において以上決定し、決定異議はこれを認めず、抵抗ある場合は実力をもって排除します。
By force. The formal decree was read aloud, indicating her judgment. There would be no retrial. But there was a certain authority behind those words that even a courthouse couldn't compare to. If she was a judge, she would have banged her gavel, signaling that the matter was settled. Mion pulled out a large bell from her clothes, inside her clothes, and rang it. Everybody present could only prostrate themselves before the harsh sound of the bell. That was not a bell. That was not a bell at all. That was a very different noise. Because we don't have bell.mp3 or
大時代的な
bell.ogg.
親族会議ですね。
あんたみたいな若いもんにはちょっと信じられないだろうけどね。こういう古い土地にはこんなのが未だ根強く残ってるもんさ。
It was exactly as Oishi had said. The old system of the three families had vanished, and now the Sonozaki family was running things by themselves. On top of that, the rule was borderline despotic.
会議はそれで終わりですか？
いや、まだ続く。
Oh my
先
god.
を続けるよ。
Oh my god, buckle in, boys. We're going in for the big lore. Eventually, after the ringing of the bell ceased, there was a deafening silence. Within all that, a lone man shuffled closer to Mion and whispered something in her ear. Mion asked several questions quietly in response. When she was satisfied, she motioned for the man to leave. The man who talked to Mion was a member of a gang that her father was the leader of. Oh, yeah, the Yakuza, yeah. That organization had the entire area of Shishibone City under its control. It was quite well known even here. Of course, this was talking about the criminal underworld, so it's not just like anybody would know. But just showing a patch with the gang symbol on it was enough to resolve any disputes in the neighborhood. Mion's biological father, to Ooryu, was her daughter's husband. Okay, not Oryu's child. The power of that man's gang was the driving force that controlled the dark underbelly of the Onikafuchi Guardians. And so that man, from his position as the next in line to control the three families, continued to coerce everybody around him with his unconventional presence. Mion exchanged a look with her father. Was it okay for her to tell what she had just heard directly to Ooryu? It looked like she was asking him that question. Her father gently but firmly nodded in his response. Mion also nodded, then sidled up to Ooryu and informed her of something. Eventually, Mion finished conveying the message, separated herself from Ooryu, fixed her posture, waiting for Ooryu to signal her response. It wasn't often that Ooryu showed any emotion. That's why, when she started to laugh quietly, a vague sense of unease crept over everybody in the room. Like that time we saw her laugh last time.
難儀なこともあったものよの。
Ooryu was laughing so happily that Kimiyoshi had to hesitantly ask.
どうしたんだい、お嬢さん。
我らにとって土地が母なら、この度のダムの騒ぎは母の命を脅かされる騒ぎっちゅうことだろうな。
Kimiyoshi, unable to comprehend the meaning of her words, looked confused. Oryu, with a wide grin on her face, turned towards everybody and addressed them in a clarion voice.
ダムの親玉の大臣がの、孫さらわれちまって、右往左往しとるっちゅう話だ。これでおあいこだの。
Well, I think that, well, that's not saying they did that. It also kind of thinks it makes, it does sound like we did that.
バカな。
Information on the kidnapping of Minister Inukai's grandson shouldn't have leaked from anywhere. How did they know? Even we didn't know much about the kidnapping incident. Exactly how did an antiquated household so far away from Tokyo come to know of it? Yeah, in the time before internet, that is crazy. It was a tranquil place, but I couldn't help but have an uneasy feeling about Hinamizawa village. At some point, I had mentally filed this place away as unrelated to the incident at hand. That mental paperwork had just blown away in the wind.
どうして鬼ヶ淵氏主導名が知っているんだ。
Sato-san, unable to come up with an answer, fell into silence.
すみません。続きをお願いします。
なあ、
Oh god, there's more.
犬飼建設大臣のお孫さんがさらわれた。
Okay, so he's confused about it, so the other families might not know.
お嬢さん、それは本当かい？
That major of an incident was nowhere to be seen in the newspapers or on TV. But in Hinamizawa, there was nothing strange about Oryu knowing something that the rest of the world didn't.
我らの痛みは母を失う痛みじゃの。それに値するとは思わんが。
Losing?
失う痛み。
Losing? I don't like that turn of phrase.
少しは答えるといいんだ。
Okay, for a bit. Okay, literally losing for a bit.
なあ、
Maybe, I hope. The last question wasn't addressed to anybody in particular. It was as if she was looking for consensus.
だが、土地と人様の子供ではわけが違う。
Oh my god, are you gonna be on the side where it's like land is more to more people?
隠すのは構わんが、怪我だけはさせたくない。
Okay, good. But also hiding him
こ
here,
にゃ何の罪もね。
right?
大事にしたりな。
それはつまり鬼ヶ淵氏主導名が誘拐事件に関与している。
必ずしもそうとは言えねえな。
The wording is still slightly ambiguous. They're involved, but they might not be the reason why.
どうして当主であるお領がこれほどまではっきりと誘拐した孫の処遇について指示を出しているのに。
兄さん、これはね、園崎家のいつものことなんだよ。
いつものこと？それはどういう意味です？
Let's say there was a particular problem, one that wasn't exactly favorable for the Sonozaki family. If Oryu shows concern over that particular problem, hearing that, somebody who attended the family council would be helpful. As a result, Oryu's wish would be granted. However, neither Oryu or anybody else would know who actually did it. With this kind of clever ploy, the Sonozaki family was able to manipulate events even though they had their hands laid out on the table.
では親族会議に出席していた誰かが犯人ということですか？
あるいはそもそも犯人なんかいない可能性だってあるよな。俺自身、その万座の一同の中に誘拐犯がいるって確信を持ってるわけじゃない。ただ、自分の意見を述べただけさ。
Yeah, that's what I kind of picked up on. It was an odd and unpleasantly secretive way of doing things. Were they involved or weren't they? I couldn't see beyond the veil. This much, however, I could say with certainty. This kidnapping was an ironclad secret. No matter how high a position somebody was in, even they wouldn't know about it. If there was somebody who would know about it, they would be connected to public safety. In other words, one of us. The only other options were people connected to the case itself. Including the minister, there would be people affected by the incident. Or the people that committed it. In any case, there was no way an old household in a place removed from Tokyo by over 6 hours of highway travel should know about it. Them knowing it all already was strange. My suspicions began to accumulate, like falling snow.
孫の誘拐についてお涼が述べたのはここまでだ。あんたの知りたかったことが含まれてりゃいいんだがな。あとは兄ちゃんの仕事だな。何のお仕事やってるか知らんけど、園崎家を相手にするなら相当の覚悟でやっとけよ。大石の旦那は怖いもの知らずだけどな。あれでも 2,3 回は襲われてる。最近は来てないけど、一時は
Oh my god.
ベ
Okay.
ストを着込んでたんだよな。
ええ、忠告ありがとうございます。気をつけることにします。
標準語が流暢だよな。兄さんは東京とかの人？
え？それが何か？
Or is that a thing Tokyo people are known for? Investigators were always close to danger. It was best not to divulge any information on
兄
myself.
さんのお仕事だけどさ、ひょっとして警視庁の公安部の人ってことある？
I couldn't remain silent here. It'd be the same thing as admitting it.
え？まさか。
That is the fakest no way
こ
ever.
っから旦那からもらった金の範囲には入らないんだが、兄さんとは今日宅を囲んだ仲間だからな。サービスってことで話してやるよ。お寮から誘拐の話が出た後、
Okay.
もう一つ話題が出たんだ。
Another topic that Oryu brought up? And right before he told me this, Sato-san asked if I was the Metropolitan Public Safety Division? In other words, what those two things meant caused a chill to run up my spine.
そんででな、大臣の孫さらったのを調べるために東京からはるばる公安の捜査官が派遣されてくるっちゅう話だ。
Great.
公安の捜査官。
Oh god, they super know. They're super in.
大臣の孫の誘拐な。うかつにゃ大ごとにできゃんってことで、警視庁の公安部が独自で調べとるっちゅう話だ。はっ、大行なこったの。どうした？
Rika, who'd been drawing... Oh no. Oh no. Rika, who'd been drawing the entire time and was completely uninterested in the conversation up until now, looked at Oryu with an interested face as soon as the topic of public safety came up.
警視庁が来たのですか？
リカちゃまは警視庁も知ってなさるんかい。偉いの。
誰が来たのですか？
公安のどんなやつが来よったんか。誰ぞわかるやつはおらんかいな。
Mion's father raised his hand slightly.
新米の若造が一人。
Oh, don't use that.
呼んでおります。
One, that's your voice? Oh boy.
新米？ほかほかなのですか？
ん？ええ、はい。新米とか。
Mion's father smiled wryly as he answered Rika's
ほ
question.
かほかのふかふか？
ええ。
ほかほかのふかふか？
Rika smiled with interest. Why did Rika suddenly act interested only when it came to this topic? That was a question that apparently nobody had the answer to.
リカちゃまはその男のことを何か知っているのかな？
知んないのですよ。
After her rather flat reply, Rika buried herself underneath Oryu's futon again. When she buried herself there, Rika no longer started drawing again. Instead, she was making an expression like she was deep in contemplation.
どうしますか？お母さん。
Mion's father posed the question. He had the type of uncouth expression on his face indicating that, given the order, he could snuff out the problem at any time.
はるばるひなみざまで来よった。しばらくはのんびりさせてやるのもよかろう。
泳がせろということでしょうか。
Mion's father asked in response. Oryu smiled thinly as she responded.
ほっといたれな。が、 あんまりおいたが過ぎるようやった。そん時は遠慮せんとな。舐められるのはすっきゃせんね。
なんて話があったそうだ。まさかあんたその警視庁の新米じゃないよな。
I think we are?
まさか。
Sensation of cold, bristling fear began to crawl its way up my back. This family council took place last night. In other words, yesterday. And today, when I was dressed up as a tourist and headed towards Hinamizawa, my cover was already blown. When I remembered the first person I met, when I got to the bus stop, I couldn't breathe. Oh my god, she was waiting for us. Oh god. The person at the family council who expressed interest in the man being dispatched from the Metropolitan Police, Rika Furude. And then, the person who was waiting for me the entire time in the bus shelter, Rika Furude. It was an unthinkable image. Noah was a delusion. We met at the bus shelter. Did Rika-chan already know my true identity? Did she know that I was Akasaka, dispatched from the Metropolitan Police Department, and come to meet with me? Then, including Mayor Kimiyoshi, every villager that I met, everyone knew but just pretended not to know? Because Oryu had given instructions not to interfere? Well, thinking about it logically, it didn't seem possible. So did Rika say that then to protect us? I think she did. I met quite a number of people. If there's people that are good at acting, then there's people who are bad at hiding things. If there's that many people, there should be somebody among them who knew I was from public safety and couldn't hide their hostility. However, I didn't feel any presence like that. But then, even still, why did Oryu tell them to leave me alone? Was it because if they were careless about it, it would only raise more suspicion? Or was it because they believed that a rookie like me wouldn't be able to find anything? Akasaka is a coward. I recall that strange voice, which could only make me believe that Rika-chan had been possessed. That unknown entity, no matter how you looked at it, knew my true identity from the get-go. And then, how did it warn me again? That's right, it warned me to hurry up and go back to Tokyo. Instead of the realistic worry that the Onigafuchi Guardians had discovered my identity, that absurd worry brought on by the unknown girl stuck with me more. What exactly was that girl? What was the thing I would eventually regret? That mysterious girl, Rika Furude. Let's stop this. Everything I was thinking of right now was merely conjecture. Tomorrow, first thing in the morning, I'll report everything I heard right now to HQ and await further orders. There was no mistaking the possibility that the Onigafuchi Guardians were related to this case, there was no mistaking that the possibility the Onigafuchi Guardians were related to this case was there. What? There's no mistaking that the possibility... Oh, the possibility was there, okay. And the fact that my cover was blown meant I was in a precarious position. But as everybody at HQ was already extremely busy, they might not be able to spare their support.
もういいかい？よければ好きなところまで送るよ。
あ、すみません。では、お会いした元の駅までお願いします。
A rural road where even a streetlight was rare. I couldn't see anything. I wasn't aware of anything but the asphalt that was lit up by the headlights. Outside of that light, was it simply darkness? Or was there something lurking there waiting to strike? I did think I drew the short straw here. I wanted to go back to Tokyo. For some reason, the voice of the girl warning me to go back to Tokyo still lingered in my head. Damn. Damn, we still spooky up in here. Oh. Okay. Man, I don't know what I expected from this at all. The investigation runs aground. What's in the box? The glint in the demon's eye. Are these another 3 very different ones? No Chivo this time? No Chivo, it seems. Oh, Mahjong Prodigy, show off your skills. It just didn't proc. There it is. Why did it take so long? Anyways, the investigation runs aground. Where even is this?
昨日銀座の料亭でお会いしてね。
Okay, we're Tokyo.
そういう話が出たんだよ。
別室の謁見でしょう。連中 公安に干渉しすぎですよ。あまり迎合すると悪い洗礼を残しますね。
犬飼大臣は公安の動きに不快感をあらわにしているらしい。多分月曜の町議で次官からその旨の話が出るんじゃないかと思う。参ったな。
次官へは局長級に話つけてもらうしかないですよ。給料を多くもらってる人の当然の仕事ってことで。
まあそうなると局長からは絶対に大臣脅迫の物証を求められるよ
な。あの人たまにどっちの味方か分かんなくなりますね。うちらの味方しなくてどうすんのっての。
まあ多分大臣を経由しての圧力だと思ってるけどね。俺が時間室で油汗かいて時間稼ぐ間に調査進めてもらうしかないよな。
Once again, just a reminder, if I'm ever sitting here quietly, it's because I'm reading and trying to put together lore. I'm still here, don't worry.
全身の汗絞られて絞りかすになっちゃうかもしれないけどな。でどうなの、調査の進行は。
期待してた濃厚なラインがことごとく外れて、正直途方に暮れてます。
最近の大臣発言をまとめると、ひなみ沢ダムの計画の話が目立つっていう報告を聞いたけど。
Is this before we went, or?
目立つっていうか、本当に微細な程度の違和感ですね。たまたま県議連でのスピーチだったから時事ネタを話しただけかもしれないし。
確か地元団体が過激に抵抗してるってやつだっけ。鬼ヶ淵死守同盟。確か赤坂君に調べてもらってたよね。
Okay, so this is during now.
僕は連中には今回の事件は起こせないと踏んでいます。ですが疑わしいところのほとんどが真っ白な以上、
Yeah, God, if they
疑いの枠から外すわけにはいかないかもですね。
if they just like suddenly decide, yeah, we're gonna remove them as a possibility just from over in Tokyo, we're screwed.
赤坂君からはその可能性は否定できないとの軽い
They're
報告
still
は受けてい
they're
ま
still
す。
accepting that. That's good.
なら調べてみる価値はあるんじゃないの。しらみつぶしなんだから、残る疑わしい団体がそこ一つならやるしかないでしょ。
まあ調べる団体はそこだけじゃないんですがね。鬼ヶ淵と同じ程度のレベルで疑わしい団体になるともう相当の数になりますよ。人手も時間も残業代も全然足りません。
赤坂君からさ、もうちょっと詳しく聞いてみてよ。俺はちょっと要注意に感じるけどな、その死守同盟。
彼、村人とうまく接触できたって連絡してきました。
Oh, buddy, it's so out of date
現地の
already.
警察とも連携できてるみたい
Oh,
ですね。
buddy, you have no idea how out of date that already is.
赤坂君との連絡密にしてください。それで彼からの情報が引っかかるようであれば増援を送ることもありということで。
Well, we at least know Akasaka survives based on the flash forward at the start. So that's at least good.
わかりました。あ、すいません、片岡市長。局長からお電話です。こっちに回しますか。
ああ、いい、そっち行きます。もしもし。
Okay. I'm terrified. What's in the box? What's in the box? Oh, gotta get my creepy voice on. Do you believe that there are choices in life? There are many people who lament the following. If there only existed points in life where there were clear choices to make, we would be able to scrutinize those carefully and make decisions that would lead us to a better future. Every time I hear people lament as such, I cast it off as a rather trivial worry. Even if you were given a clear choice, it wouldn't be meaningful at all, and there wouldn't be any such path to a better future. Alright, well this goes into how people were telling me how putting the choices on is actually thematically not appropriate, but I'm still gonna do it. Is this hard to understand? Then let's pretend that in front of you, there are two strange boxes. In other words, you have two clear choices. Do you open the red box or the blue box? A lot of things would be uncertain even with that choice, wouldn't they? If you don't have the option of opening neither, then your choice boils down to the natural impulse of opening the box that holds the better result for you. Then after examining the shape and features of each, and pondering a great many things, you have to pick either the red or the blue. If this was you, which box would you open? Red or blue? If you were to go by their traditional meanings, then red would be a dangerous, threatening color. However, that doesn't automatically mean that it would be calm and relaxing inside the blue box either. In fact, it might be that the colors are a trap, make you wary of the red box and have you open the blue. A trap? Could it be that the contents of the box aren't a reward but rather a penalty? See? Now you're at a loss. You're so conflicted over the choice between red and blue that you started wishing there was an option to open neither and just leave. But there isn't. You have to open either the red box or the blue box. Oh, I forgot to say this, but if you choose one box, the other will disappear. So you'll never know the contents of the box you don't open. I'll just put that rule at the end there for you. Now, why don't you choose the red box or the blue box? It's all right. You won't lose anything by picking either one. Come on now. Okay, well, hey, guess what? Boop, quick save, right? You know what? I'm not even a quick save. I'm gonna regular save this bad boy. Wait, sorry, what? Sorry, what? It's disabled. Now, this one isn't, though. That's curious. They actually disable it. Okay, well, let's open the red box. I like the color red. Have you thought about it? In the end, you chose this color, didn't you? As soon as you chose, the other box disappeared. So you can give up on the contents of that one, okay? That's the rule. Now open up the box you chose. Inside the box there was a piece of caramel. I know you're a little disappointed. Well, that's only natural. No matter how you looks at it, you got the dud. That's the second Simpsons reference in this video. The correct box might have had a bar of chocolate in it for all you know. No, in fact, something incredible like a pair of tickets to Hawaii might have been in there. But even if you want to verify that, that other box has already disappeared. There's no way you can check now. But if you think about it from an optimistic point of view, just maybe, the other box was empty and this box was the winner. And being satisfied, or perhaps not, with such a cheap prize, you pop it into your mouth and start chewing happily. So, what do you think in the end? If you were to give a second chance, would you open the other box? But unfortunately, the chance to choose between the red box and the blue box had come and gone, never to be seen again. The chance to change your selection would never come. One thing I'll say is I'm going to, before I do a quick load, I'm instead going to just try going to fast forward to see if I can do it there. Don't your parents often say, every choice you make in life only happens once, so choose carefully? See? Choices aren't that great after all. Aren't you a little disillusioned now? Uh-huh. So let me try to just go back normally and see what happens. If I actually just try to go and do the other route, right? Let's see here. If I fast forward, let's go open the blue box. Have you thought about it? In the end, you chose this color, didn't you? As soon as you chose, the other box disappeared, so you can give up on the contents. That's the rule. Now open the box. Inside the box there was a stick of chewing gum. Right now you're thinking that's it? That's right. Oh, it absolutely knows that we looked at both now. The contents of the red box and the blue box are a piece of caramel and a stick of chewing gum. You might have thought you made the wrong choice before, but now seeing them together like this, you can't really say that either choice was the wrong one. Well, I guess everybody has their personal preferences. If you prefer caramel to gum, for example, you're definitely thinking of choosing to open the box again based on that preference. The clear choices you wanted were basically this: the selfish desire to open up both boxes and compare the contents, then pick the one most suited to you. But you see, reality is the same as this game. Oh god, here we go. If you pick one, the one you didn't choose disappears. So there's no way to check the result. If at that time if you had done this, or perhaps if you had done that, then it wouldn't be hard to imagine you could be happier or perhaps less happy than you are right now. In the end, you only have the pleasure of approving or being disappointed by the choice you did make. But that's fine. After all, didn't you enjoy the thrill of making the choice? If, like now, you knew the contents of both boxes, then the choice between the red box or the blue box would just be a waste of time. Because instead of this boring game about boxes, you could be looking at that quickly changing evening summer sky, listening for the distant sound of thunder, and pondering if it's going to rain or not. That would be much more fun. I think this is Rika. I think this is Rika's point of view. I do. I think that's Rika, again, talking about timelines and why there's no
は
choices.
い。それで、お通夜が明日の午後6時からになりまして、
Who died?
告別式があさってのお昼、12時から13時までになりまして、
Who died?
会場は沖宮セレモニーホールになります。
か。池澤助役のお孫さんの葬式じゃ。
grandson.
何にも挨拶なしってわけにもいかんね。
Deputy Mayor Ikezawa. I don't think we've heard of them before.
みよ、代わりに出てえな。
うん、了解。喪服で行く？香典はいくらくらい？
学校の服でえんね。前のボタンちゃんと止めてくんねよ。香典は5万。10万包んだりな。世話になったかんな。
Mion quietly whistled in awe at the exorbitant amount of money her grandmother was offering.
池澤さんはな、沖宮の事務所長だった頃からしっかりした人だったんね。役人は挨拶って言っても絶対に玄関までしか来ん。でもな、池澤さんはわしがお茶を勧めるといっつも上がってくれて、ちゃんと話を聞いてくれた。人の話を最後まで聞く本当に鏡みたいな人だったんね。
And why did he die? The two guests made a show of nodding, making it clear they were paying attention as Oryu reminisced. The sight of them trying not to get on Oryu's bad side was humorous enough to elicit laughter from Mion occasionally.
池澤助役のお孫さんはいくつで亡くなったんね。
11歳だそうで。
Oryu closed her eyes and shook her head lightly, lamenting the loss of such a young life.
確か孫は一人だ言うてんな。
That's rough.
かわいそうにな。親より先に死ぬほどの親不幸あるめな。
ばっちゃんも他人には優しいね。あたしやシオンが死んだら同じように悲しんでくれる？
アホん抜かすんでね。演技でもねすったなんと。
Yeah,
シャラーあったく。
that's literally a red flag, but okay. Having got the reaction she expected, Mion cackled. The two guests, unsure if they were supposed to laugh along or not, instead forced awkward smiles.
それでは本日は失礼いたします。では明日の夕方5時にお迎えに参りますんで、よろしくお願いいたします。ではごめんくださいませ。
I literally could hear them doing like the bow as they talked. It's crazy. After bowing their heads repeatedly, the guests left by the front door. Mion saw them off, waving her little hand goodbye.
帰ったよ。お役人もばっちゃのご機嫌伺いに大変だね。不法なんか電話でいいと思うのにね。
Well, it was true that Oryu Sonozaki was a central person for both her relatives and the residents of Hinamizawa village as a whole. As a voting bloc, they numbered in the several thousands. It wasn't hard to imagine the mayor would try to pander to her. Unlike Mion, however, Ori was looking up longingly at the sky from their veranda.
どうしたの？猛録した？
誰のお孫さんであろうと気の毒だのう思ったんよ。
Saying that, she let out a deep sigh. Mion was let down, as normally her grandmother would have scolded her for her attitude.
みよ、これ例の大臣の孫さらわれてからどのくらいになる？
うん。4日かな。
Okay, so same time. Or you let out another deep sigh.
旧敵の孫とはいえ
Yeah.
気の毒だな。
そう。
十分気はせいたんろ。そろそろ終わりにしちゃれな。
That could have two different meanings. The playful expression drained from Mion's face, leaving behind a stern one. Then, as if to ascertain Oryu's will, looked into her eyes. Oryu, expressing her intention with only those eyes, looked back into Mion's.
お茶が欲しんで頼んでな。
Oh, and of course the friggin'
さっき
Higurashi
のチョ
start
コ
to
レート
play.
も食べといね。
Mion gave a small nod, then turned around. Is that code
シミコさん、
word to
い
kill
ました？
someone?
抹茶に紅茶入れてあげてください。
From far away, a voice responded in the affirmative. Mion, after confirming she'd been heard, picked up the phone and began dialing.
あ、
Oh.
もしもし？ミオンだけど。
Asking for chocolate is absolutely the code to kill.
うん。うちのお父さん、います。
Oh boy. Well, guys, that kid is so dead. Anyways, guys, we'll see you next time for chapter 5? 4. We'll see you next time for chapter 4 of Higurashi, chapter 4. We'll see you guys then. Ciao. Yo.